Alright, seventh graders, welcome to Unit 3, Part 3. We are talking about multiplying and dividing integers. In Part 1, we did adding integers. Part 2 was subtracting, and now we're moving on to multiplying and dividing. We do multiplying and dividing together because the rules are actually exactly the same. It's just whether or not you're multiplying or dividing the numbers, obviously. So, if you look, again, I've copied and pasted all of this goodness out of your textbook. So let's walk through the rules. First one says the product of two integers with the same sign is positive. So if you do a positive times a positive, your answer is positive. If you do a negative times a negative, your answer is positive. If the signs are the same, the answer is positive. Now, if the signs are different, your answer is negative. So if you look here in green, we have a positive times a negative, we get a negative for the answer. We have a negative times a positive here, we get a negative. So if the signs are different, the answer is negative. And then when we multiply anything times 0, we get 0, whether it's negative, positive, whatever, and you multiply by 0, you get 0. If you look over at dividing integers, the rules are exactly the same. If the signs are the same, it's positive. If the signs are different, it's negative. If you do 0 divided by a number, you get 0. So let's look at a couple of examples. For number 1, we have 25 times negative 5. So the first thing I want you to do is just decide, will this be positive or negative? I have a positive times a negative, so I know my answer will be negative. And 25 times 5 is 125. You look at the second example, you have three numbers, negative 3 times negative 4 times negative 5. First thing you want to do is decide if it's going to be positive or negative. So when I multiply negative 3 times negative 4, that's going to give me a positive. And when I do a positive times a negative, I wind up with a negative final answer. So 3 times 4 times 5 is 60. And my answer is negative 60. If you look at number 3, both of those numbers are negative, and negative times a negative is a positive. Okay, so my answer is 116. If you notice, I'm not boxing that positive sign. We don't write a positive sign as positive. I'll leave number 4 to you guys. If you move down to finding the quotient, again, the rules are the same. Okay, we're just dividing now. So for number 1, I'm dividing a positive divided by a positive. So I have a positive final answer. 28 divided by 14 is 2. Again, I don't include the positive sign. For number 2, I have negative 26 divided by 13. I have a negative divided by a positive. I get a negative. 26 divided by 13 is 2. I get negative 2 for my answer. For number 3, I have negative 220 divided by 11 divided by negative 4. Negative 220 divided by 11 is going to give me a negative. And then the negative divided by a negative is going to give me a positive. 220 divided by 11 divided by 4 is 5. Again, I don't include the positive sign when I'm writing that 5. For number 4, I think we've mentioned before that division can also be written as a fraction. So on number 4, you're doing negative 840 divided by 7. I'll let you guys do that one on your own. Okay, looking down at the next part, it says to simplify. So we have multiplication and division both in these. So if you look at number 1, we have negative 2 times negative 14 divided by negative 7. Order of operations tells us to go left to right. So negative 2 times negative 14 is going to be positive 28. I'm multiplying two negatives, so I wind up with a positive. Then I'm divided by negative 7. I'm doing a positive divided by a negative, so I wind up with a negative answer. 28 divided by 7 is 4, so I get negative 4 for my answer. I'm going to let you do number 2. I'm going to skip over to number 3. I have negative 9 times 27 over 3. Remember we said that a fraction is the same thing as division. So on the top I'm doing a negative times a positive. So I'm going to do negative 243. And then I'm dividing by 3. I have a negative divided by a positive. So I wind up with a negative answer, negative 81. Flipping over to the back side. We have a section on mean, median, mode, and range. Now you've probably done this before or some form of this. I don't know if you've done all of them before. But if you look, it says that we have 3 measures of central tendency. Our 3 measures of central tendency are mean, median, and mode. Okay? We call those measures of central tendency because they're going to point us towards numbers in the middle of the path. Down here we have a measure of dispersion. Dispersion means apart from each other. Right? To disperse means to scatter. The range is a measure of dispersion. Okay? So, but we're going to look at how to find all four. So for the mean, it says the mean of a data set is the sum of the values divided by the number of values. Another word for the mean is the average. So you're going to add them all up, divided by how many you have. The median is probably the trickiest one. The median of a data set is the middle value when the values are written in numerical order. If the data set has an even number of values, the median is the mean of the two middle values. Third one is the mode. The mode of a data set is the value that occurs most often. So the key word there is the most. Mode is the most. A data set can have no mode. So if everything only shows up once, it can have one mode, or it can have more than one mode. So say 3 numbers show up twice, everything else shows up once. All 3 of those would be the mode. The range of a data set is the difference of the greatest value and the least value. So you're just subtracting the biggest number minus the small one, or range. So it says to find the mean, median, mode or modes, and range of the data. Okay? The first thing you want to do is put all these numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay? So my least number is negative 35. And cross that out after I write it. Next up is negative 14. Let's cross that out. Next up is negative 8. Cross that out. Then I have 3, another 3, and the third 3. So 3 3s there. Then I have 19, 26, 44, and 89. So I put them in order from least to greatest. So first thing I'm going to do is find the mean. To find the mean, I add up all of these integers and divide by how many I have. When I add all these up, I get 130. Okay, when you do this, you have to make sure you're taking into account the negatives. Okay, so if you use your calculator, be careful there. So they add up to 130, and there's 10 of them. So when I divide that out, I get a mean of 13. Okay, I'm going to do the mode next. So the mode is the number that shows the most. If you look, 3 shows up 1, 2, 3 times. Everything else only shows up once. So my mode is 3. I'm going to do the range next. The range is the biggest number minus the smallest. My biggest number is 89 minus my smallest number, which is negative 35. Okay. We know when we subtract integers, I need to rewrite it as addition. So I do 89 plus 35. Keep the 89. Change subtraction to addition, change the negative to positive. So I get 124 as my range. Now, I left median for the last one because I'm going to need to cross off numbers when I do the median. So if you go back up to your definitions, the median is the number that's in the middle. So I'm going to start by crossing off the first one and the last one, and then work my way in. Okay? Now, if I get to the point where I only have one number in the middle, that's my median. But if you look at my example, I have 2 numbers in the middle. Okay? Your definition said that when you find 2 numbers in the middle, you're going to find the mean or the average of those. So that means I'm going to use 3 plus 3 divided by 2, which is just 6 divided by 2, which is 3. Now, since they were both 3s, it's really easy to tell it's going to be 3. I just walked through that to show you an example. Say it was 4 and 6. I would add 4 and 6 divided by 2. I'd wind up with 5. And then the bottom is just review problems for you. Again, those you do on your own. Make sure you check them with the answer key. These bottom examples right here are from Unit 3, Part 1 and 2, so stuff that we've just done to make sure you've got a good understanding of it. All right, that's all I've got.